Hello, everyone. If I could have your attention for just a minute or two, or 3 or 4, I want to welcome you. I am Ed Gallagher, President of the American Scandinavian Foundation, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the opening celebration for our newest exhibition, Inside Voices, Outside Light, Perspectives on West Nordic Art, marking a meaningful milestone as we celebrate the 25 years of contemporary art at Scandinavia House. Featuring 21 artists from Norway, Faroe Islands, Greenland, and Iceland, this exhibition brings together artists who share deep cultural and historical ties while maintaining their own unique cultural identities and communities. This exhibition comes in the wake of and complements our fall exhibition, which closed 2 months ago, entitled A Time for Everything, 25 Years of Contemporary Art at Scandinavia House. Together, these two exhibitions continue Scandinavia House's tradition of presenting exhibitions and other programs which reveal the multidimensional wealth of expression and creative achievement that is found in all the Nordic countries, and are not always familiar or recognized by American audiences. Since opening over 25 years ago, we have presented over 3,000 programs enjoyed by more than 3 million visitors here at Scandinavia House, and I believe we have created a dynamic, vital presence for Nordic art and culture here in New York. We have very many to thank for this: organizations, individuals, and of course, artists. Tonight, we are particularly grateful to those who made this exhibition possible. And I would first like to extend my sincere thanks to the curator, Emily Stoddart, who is the ASF Manager of Exhibitions and Community Programs. In organizing and choosing the works in this exhibition, she was helped by some very, very talented and dedicated curatorial consultants: Karin Hellandsjø from Norway, Kinna Poulsen from the Faroe Islands, and Pari Stave from Iceland. All 3 of them are wonderful friends of Scandinavia House who for many years have been helpful in organizing exhibitions and have been great supporters throughout the past 2 decades. They have also been helped, and we owe great thanks to Ivo Shea, who is our exhibition and program assistant, and numerous ASF staff members, including Laurie Fredrickson, Carly Kloffenstiel, Kyle Reinhardt, and Victoria McGann, and of course many others. And we need to really express our very enthusiastic and special thanks to Monica Heimbold, who created the Monica and Charles Heimbold Silver Anniversary Fund for exhibitions and programs. And they have been generous supporters of all the 25th anniversary programs. Monica, we greatly thank you. Additional support has been provided by Barbara Osher Pro Suecia Foundation, the Royal Norwegian Consulate in New York, the Nordic Culture Fund, and the Office for Contemporary Art in Norway, along with several very important ASF funds: the Bonnier Family Fund for Contemporary Art, the F. Donald Kenny Fund for Visual Arts, and the Kronquist Massaris Memorial Endowment Fund. And most importantly, we owe great thanks to the artists themselves, without whose work and vision this exhibition would not be possible. We're very fortunate that several of them are with us, and we welcome you this evening. They will be introduced shortly. And so let's go on to the rest of the program, and I would like to invite Emily Stoddart to take over. Emily?
Thanks, Ed. I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight despite this rather un-Nordic climate here. We are very thrilled to present Inside Voices, Outside Light, and to share the work of 21 artists who live and practice in the West Nordic region today. And this exhibition was brought together in the spirit of cooperation and community, and I owe tremendous thanks to my colleagues, both near and far, for offering their support and guidance throughout the exhibition planning and production. I am standing here with 3 women who have given tremendous attention to this show. As Ed said, Pari, Karin, and Kinna, and all 3 were instrumental in bringing these artists together to present in New York, and I'm very grateful to all of them for their contributions. So before we get on to our short conversation, I do want to take this opportunity to also thank the mighty Ivo Shea, who served as curatorial associate on the exhibition. And I also want to thank Hilda Forss, who is our graphic designer and traveled all the way from Finland to be with us tonight, who did an amazing job on the whole design of the exhibition as well as the beautiful publication that we have that's sitting on different tables around the space and in the gallery. So I encourage you to pick up a copy of that. And I also want to thank my team, Shannon Bowser, Lucy Kinsolving, June Ashida, Alex Ross, and Kyle Brunette. And I have an amazing team at Scandinavia House. We make things very fun despite the challenges, and I really do look forward to working with all of you, so thank you very much. And Ed has also thanked some of the ISF staff, but I also want to thank Victoria, Minna, Sarah, Jeff, and Stephen, and Carrie for all their help with this exhibition. So as you can see, there are many people involved in the preparation, and I'm very grateful. So I want to, without further ado, I just want to introduce my colleagues who are sitting here. So Karin Hellandsjø is a Norwegian art historian and curator, and she worked as the chief curator and director at the Henny Onstad Art Center and the National Museum of Contemporary Art in Oslo, and she is now working as an independent scholar and art consultant. Kinna Poulsen is a Faroese art critic and teacher and is associate professor at Glacier and Torshavn College, which is in the capital of the Faroe Islands. She has written art and cultural reviews for over 30 years and several books focusing on works by individual Faroese artists. And her new book at eye level covers contemporary art in the Faroe Islands, focusing mainly on artworks exhibited from 2020 onward. The book highlights many artists, both Faroese and international, who have had their art displayed in the country. And we are very lucky that we have a copy of this book that just got translated, and we'll be doing a presentation, a panel on Saturday at 3 o'clock with Hansina Iversen and Johan Martin Christensen, who are also here tonight to talk about the book. And the book hasn't arrived yet from the Faroe Islands, but we hope it will soon. So if you have any questions or want to take a look, we do have this beautiful copy here. And finally, we have Pari Stave, who studied art history at New York University's Institute of Fine Arts, has been a curator for more than 30 years. And Pari was formerly the senior manager in the Department of Modern and Contemporary Art at the Metropolitan Museum here in New York. And then from 2022 to 23, she was director at Skaftfell Art Center, and now she is the chief curator at the National Gallery of Iceland. So let's all welcome them to coming tonight. Where's Sarah? Am I doing this right? Take this out. So I'm going to sit down, and I guess we're going to share these mics. So I'm going to pass this. Can you hold on to it? Okay. Just give me a second here to sit down. So I want to start off by introducing the West Nordic region. So it encompasses the countries of Greenland, Iceland, the Faroe Islands, and Norway. And I would say that currently the region has been more interpreted by a geopolitical lens. And then we hear about these communities via headlines in the 24-hour news cycle. Sorry, this is a little awkward. Okay, so I don't fall over. But many people in North America aren't that familiar with the cultural significance of the region. So it's geographically immense and it's somewhat remote. It holds traditions close, but it also is rapidly changing. So I was wondering if each of you could briefly touch on the regions that you work in and just talk a little bit about your experience as a curator working there and what makes these countries special to you, or what might be something to tease out by your experiences. It's up to you, whatever feels right.
No, I just handed you the microphone.
Well, I want to start by saying that although I am half Norwegian, my father was a Norwegian American, I'm actually brought up in the United States, and I fell in love with Nordic art through Scandinavia House. I long ago studied Scandinavian art at the Institute, but then it was working with Ed and Pat Berman on the Luminous Modernism exhibition when I fell totally in love with Iceland and Icelandic art, and I did a lot of work on Icelandic art both here and in other exhibition venues, and then made a life change 4 years ago, moving to Seyðisfjörður in the remote northeast of Iceland. and 2 years ago joined the team at the National Gallery of Iceland, where I'm curator of exhibitions. And so when I say that I'm not Icelandic, that means I'm really looking at Iceland from the lens of a foreigner. And living in Iceland, I do feel very much like a foreigner, because the first thing to say about Iceland is it's a very homogeneous society, and it comes late to the visual arts in the country's history. So it was, the first session of parliament held in Iceland was in 930, and was settled just a few decades before that. But actually, there is no visual arts tradition in Iceland until really the early part of the 20th century. There were lots of craft traditions, especially those associated with ecclesiastical, things, but really there was no professional painter in Iceland until around 1900. That's the date when there's the first exhibition of a professional painter's work, Þórarinn Þorláksson, who trained in Copenhagen. And there are many, many reasons for this. I won't go into it, but just suffice it to say, one interesting fun fact is that professional photography actually precedes professional painting in this European country, which is fascinating in and of itself. But I find Iceland an incredibly exciting art scene, just because it's emerging, still emerging. So I feel like it's a society of artists who are still finding their voice in many ways, defining who they are, defining their identity as Icelanders, and more recently, in the last 10, 15, 20 years, welcoming to Iceland, immigrants. 20% of Iceland's population is immigrant, mostly from Poland, and that also brings immigrant artists. And so one of the things we work on at the National Gallery is how to define what is Icelandic art, and expanding it beyond the art made by people born in Iceland to include people who are now studying there and working there and grappling with issues that are relevant to Icelandic society today. So, an Icelandic curator once said to me that if you think of Europe as kind of an old man, Iceland is a teenager. And it's sort of true. There's this incredible energy and spirit in the art scene in Iceland. And it's small enough that there's also this incredible cross-fertilization. There's a fantastic music scene, literary scene. Reykjavik is a UNESCO literary city. And all of these artists collaborate. And it's also a very technological society, even though it sort of skipped the it sort of slept through the Industrial Revolution, but it's a very high-tech society now. And so all of these factors converge on a small society, small city of Reykjavik, but makes for a really dynamic and exciting art scene. And so that's, I tried to recommend artists for this exhibition who reflect some of that.
I got my own. No, Faroese art from the Faroe Islands. I think that many people, when I say that we are 55,000 people in the Faroe Islands, many people get surprised by the fact that we have our own language and culture, and that there are in fact many talented artists there. And we have a little bit a sort of similar art history as in Iceland. We also, I think we started in the beginning of the 20th century. But I think that when people say, people are talking about Faroese art, they are often referring to us as something strange, something that is very far away, remote, foreign, and different somehow. And the interesting fact, I think, is that we are quite similar. When I walked around in New York these couple of days I've been here, it's amazing to be here. And thank you, Emily, and the Scandinavia House for us being able to be here. We are very happy. But I mean, I recognize all the time some of the same things that we are dealing with in the Faroe Islands. I was 2 years ago, I was in Venice, and I saw Innotek Storks, the Icelandic artist, Greenlandic artist, his exhibition there. And it was very special. He has some of the photos here at the exhibition, and it felt in many ways like home. It looked a little bit like my grandmother and like the people around me. Of course, not in every aspect, but and of course, the reason is partly that Faroe Islands are a part of the Danish kingdom. We have the same sort of situation as Greenland. But we have, we are human beings. We have people around us that we love, and Innotek is such a master in catching these intimate moments in his photography. So I think if I should describe Faroese art very short, it's not easy. But we have some great painters, and you will see some of them in the exhibition here. There was an American journalist a couple of years ago who asked me to define Faroese contemporary art. What is special about it? And I said it's impossible, because it's like saying what is. Try to define American art in one sentence. I know America is a little bit bigger than the Faroe Islands, but it's the same kind of diverse art scene, right? Because we're not so different. So, but maybe it is a little bit intense and a bit. It's like sensual. It's very beautiful colors, beautiful light, and maybe it has to do with that it's a small country where everything is close. The people are close, the mountains are close, even though they're big. It's small. I'm not sure, but I think you will see, because we have some great artists at the exhibition. Thanks.
Let me see. Does that work? Yes. Well, I won't describe Norway and Norwegian art that way that you have done, I don't think. I mean, compared to you, Norway is, of course, a bigger country. But we have so much things in common, and it's, it all turns down to nature, I would say. And it's, even if Norway is a big country with 5.5 million people and all that, we are so, we have always been, or the artists, and we all have always been nature has always been there, and it's always there. And it's, so that way we have many things in common, and I think the way you have curated this show is very interesting, to bring these countries together, because these artists have so much in common. But on the same time, as you say, when you say, talking about New York and American art, they're all international as well. And the ones that we are bringing now from Norway, one is actually American, she's living in Norway, Camille. And then you have Per Barkley, who's living in Italy, but he's Norwegian. And it's all international, but they all have something in common. And I think the selection for the exhibition is very interesting today, very interesting in this political situation, whatever that we have today. I think it's a really exciting show, and it's today, without art, what should we have done? It's incredible. And as for me, I've been working with this institution, Scandinavia House, for 20 years. And I've been working with Norwegian art and international art, much international art. But to be able here to present the Norwegian art has been incredible, and also very important for the artists. And then when they are, I mean, you don't have solo shows, you always show them together with others, and I think this hub thing is very important. And it's very nice that so many of the artists are coming. And so I just congratulate you. I think this is such an important show. And also and it's lots of interest in Norway about that. I mentioned the artists and said, gee whiz. We don't have all these art critics very, very dominant at the moment, but we'll see. We'll manage. And so I just congratulate. It's a wonderful show.
Okay. Thank you all for that. I'm also mindful of the time because I know everyone wants to see the exhibition. I just want to ask quickly, though, because we talked a little bit about traditions and some of the ways in which now, when we think of art today, it was introduced a little bit later on in Iceland and in the Faroe Islands. But what I'm finding, for me, I'm always really inspired by this combination of tradition and handicraft, but also with innovation in West Nordic approaches to making and to art in general. But do you see now, I mean, we obviously have a difficult geopolitical situation, but we also have the onslaught of tourism and technology. Do you see things changing rapidly in your, observances of what's happening? Do you see anything that's being lost, or do you think these traditions can continue and merge with other communities or people experiencing the region?
I think definitely so. And as you say here now, I mean, also the young Norwegian artists like Ask Bjørlo, who is here now, he's going into the Norwegian textile tradition, and then we have the Sami artists coming up. So it's very focused on that, and it's which is also international in a way, but that also changes the Norwegian art and the art of the other countries, I would think. So it's the political situation brings this much more up to the open, I would say.
About tourism.
Well, the Faroes have that. It is changing.
Oh,
with
yes,
the
it is, and I'm personally I'm very happy about that. I think most because it gives us it gives us money. I mean, we are like a fishery society. We live of fishery, and it's good that we have another leg to stand on. But it's also good for us who live in the Faroe Islands because there's a lot more happening there. There are, and I have heard something about that in Iceland, that the tourists in the middle of Reykjavik, at least, that there are a little bit too many, but I am, right now I am a tourist in New York, and so I have to accept that New York tourists will come to Tórshavn, I hope. So I don't see the problems, at least, not now, so, yeah.
I would just add to the discussion about tourism that tourists are not coming to Iceland for culture. They might come for the Iceland airwaves, the concerts, and that sort of thing. They're coming to Iceland to see Iceland, and that's what draws people, I think, to these Nordic countries. And also, Greenland is now becoming so rapidly, a tourist destination that I don't think they even have the infrastructure yet to support it. But they come for the nature, and they don't necessarily stay for the culture. We have days when only 30 people come to the museum, and it's right downtown. It's not like it's hard to find, but. So I think one of the things we're working on is, how to bring more attention to the cultural sector, because it does have a lot to offer. There are many artists. I feel like, these small countries punch way above their weight in terms of artistic productivity. But tourism is the thing, and I think it's interesting to ask ourselves why. Is it because people are looking for, to see a part of the world that is rapidly vanishing because of climate change? I think but also these are areas that haven't really been that opened up for tourism and now are.
I didn't talk about tourism, but since you bring that up, I mean, we are lucky because we have Edvard Munch, which means that people come to see Edvard Munch, and then when they do that, they also come to see other art, you know. And the problem with the museums often is that it's too many people, and it's like I experienced when I saw the Raphael exhibition at the Metropolitan today. You know, you kind of, so we have a problem there. But it's no, but I mean, we have Munch, but you have others, and that'll come. So they start coming for nature, but then they'll come. So don't give up. They'll be there.
All right, well, I want to thank all of you for a lively discussion, and we're going to change. We just want to introduce two artists that are actually not going to be here on Saturday, Kinna Nedros and Camille Norman, and if they can just come up and introduce yourself quickly, and you ladies will have to move off the chairs, and just say a few words, because we're so grateful to have everybody here, but we're not all here together forever, so.
Hi. Can everyone hear me? Well, you might have guessed, but I am the Norwegian American. My name is Camille Norman, and I'm very happy to be here. I have lived in New York for 12 years and have many dear friends who have actually exhibited here. But this is the first time that I have as my new status as an American and a Norwegian. I've actually been living in Oslo for 20 years, and I am a citizen of Norway for nearly 2 years now. So I am officially American and Norwegian. But that's not what I came to say, but I think in this political climate it's important to say that. One of the works that I have, or the work that I have today, is called Effervescent Gravities, Emergent. And it, well, I won't describe it, you'll have an opportunity to see it, but I was asked to talk a little bit about the work. The work is inspired by sonic forces. I work a lot with sound in many forms, through installation, through composition, performance, and sculpture, and here, drawing. So these cycles, feedback loops, for example, historical feedback loops, the repetitions that we keep finding ourselves in again and again, like now. This is part of the inspiration for this work. It's a work made by iron filings that are oxidized, rainwater, and also ink. I'm very much interested in this relationship between deterioration, repetitive cycles, but also rejuvenation, generation, what gets born again, evolutionary cycles. So I think I'll leave it there for now, and thank you very much for.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. So my name is Trine Lise Nedros. I'm an artist from Norway. I live in Bergen, my hometown now, after a long escapade abroad. I work mainly with film and video, although I also use other material like drawing and sculpture. Here I'm showing a film called Adorn, and it is originally shot in one session, 1 hour, and then it's cut down to 4 or 5 minutes. And it's a close-up of an eye being adorned with layers and layers of makeup and jewels, to the extent where the eye can't keep itself open. And the way this work came about was I'm interested in fairy tales and stories and myths. And there's this reoccurring theme of animals being adorned for the pleasure of humans, like being enhanced, if you like. And this particular story was of a cardinal in Italy who had a garden with a tortoise in it. And he decided to adorn it with jewels, which didn't go very well for the tortoise, but The idea was to have the tortoise walking around in the garden slowly and sparkle and be a kind of spectacle for people who can marvel at this wonder. And it made me think about, like, fairy tales, they are universal, right? And they're timeless. So they're always relevant. And what this story told me was this excess that we feel like things are never enough. It's always something that can be improved or maximized or more value drawn out of it, in the sense that you lose sense of what the real value was in the first place. So my film takes the same approach with an eye, with layers and layers of jewels and makeup, and I think I have 5 eyelashes on there. And there's this torturous, beautiful torturous slowness in it, in which the eye gets totally shut. And of course the eye is a jewel in itself. You know, everybody's got it in the middle of their faces. And it's closed by this artifice, so it can't see out or in. So really, and also this idea with the eye being the window to the soul, which is then shut off. So yeah, it's a comment on alienation and excess and greed. Thank you.
I think we're done now, and thank you so much, and I hope you all enjoy the exhibition upstairs and have a drink and cool off in here, and I hope you all enjoy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you to the artists and to the curators. It's a wonderful show, so enjoy it and tell your friends. It's up until the 22nd of June, correct? The 20th of June. So thank you, Emily, for a wonderful show for the artists and everyone else. Thank you.